In this video, we will look at how to build the model you saw in the last video.
Let's just talk through how we'd build this model. So I'm going to come to the model tab here where it's not complete yet. Notice that I've entered the customer information already. So this particular applicant, it makes $62,000 a year. They're looking at getting a loan for a house that will cost them $310,000. Their interest rate is 5.25%. They're looking to pay over the course of 30 years, and they have other monthly debts that total payments of $1,000 a month. The acceptable percentage of their income that can be used towards servicing debt is 40%. So we'll see how all of these inputs then work to help us achieve our outcome, our recommendation of approval or not approval. So the monthly income is just a function of the annual income. Annual income would be $62,000, so calculating monthly income is just as simple as taking our annual income and dividing by 12. Now notice that whenever possible, I'm going to reference the inputs directly instead of hard coding them into my formulas. Hard coding the values into my formulas make it problematic for me because then if the inputs change, I have to change my formulas as well. Now if the individual applicant's income changes for whatever reason, I'm able to handle that directly in my calculation without updating my formula. Okay, acceptable income servicing debt. So that's going to be a function of my monthly income and the acceptable percentage of income that can be used toward servicing debt. So that's just as simple as taking my monthly income and multiplying by the percentage above. Again, I'm not hard coding 40% in. I'm referring to 40%, so if that changes, I'm able to accommodate that without changing my formula. So this particular applicant makes $5,100 a month, essentially, and will approve the loan as long as their total debt payments don't exceed $2,067. Monthly debt, I'll just pull that directly from above. So their maximum payment on this loan is going to be the difference between what will allow them to pay for all of their monthly debts and what their monthly debt is for everything else. So what they can afford for a mortgage payment will be the difference between those two totals, or they can afford a mortgage payment of $1,067 a month. The monthly payment, that's going to be a function of the loan amount, the interest rate, and the term. We'll use the payment function for that. So my interest rate, that's an annual rate, so I'm going to have to divide by 12 to get a monthly rate since I make monthly payments on the loan. Number of periods, that would be the number of years. And because I don't just make an annual payment, I make a monthly payment, I'll have to multiply the number of years by 12 to get the number of payments. And then the present value is going to be the loan amount. Now at this point, I'm going to get a negative number for my payment because I've got a positive number for the loan amount. Just remember that with financial functions, that a loan would be money toward me, so that's a positive to me. My monthly payments are going to be money I pay to pay off the loan, so that's going to be a negative to me. So because this is a negative value and I don't want to have to account for whether the loan amount was entered as a negative or a positive by the user, I'm just going to go ahead and take the absolute value of that payment amount, so that will always be positive regardless of whether the user enters a negative amount for the loan or a positive amount for the loan. So the monthly payment the applicant would have to pay for this particular loan is $1,712. So now we're ready to make our recommendation. So for this particular applicant, it's fairly easy to say that this applicant would not be approved because their monthly payment far exceeds the maximum payment that we would allow them to make. But we want this formula to be a general purpose formula that will work for any set of inputs. So we're going to use an if function for that. And essentially what we're going to say is if the monthly payment exceeds the maximum payment allowed for that particular situation, we're going to say no, the applicant's not approved. Otherwise, we're going to say yes. So if the monthly payment is the same as the maximum payment, they're approved. If monthly payment is less than the maximum payment, they're approved. If the monthly payment is more than the maximum allowable payment, then they'll not be approved. Hit enter. And now we see that we've got essentially our model working. Again, our inputs, the things that could change for each applicant, our intermediate calculations, and our outcome. Notice that if I change the loan amount here, let's say that they realize they can't afford $310,000, they may be trying for something like $250,000. I'm getting closer, but I'm still not approved, right? What about $210,000? Still not approved. So maybe I need to figure out some way to bring a little bit less debt to the table. Maybe pay off a little bit of my monthly debt. So let's say I'm able to pay off $250 of my monthly debt. There we go. I'm able to get approved. So you can see how changing these inputs has a direct impact on not only the intermediate calculations, but the eventual outcome.